Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're tuning into Crackcore. Thank you for tuning in today. Oh, man. It's snowing today. It's absolutely lovely. It's real nice, man. It's been a while since I've seen a good bit of snow. Oh. It's everywhere, though, isn't it, at the minute? All around the country. Snowing. But anyway, that's not why I started this video. I just thought I'd comment on the weather. You know, as we do in England. So, how about the weather? Anyway. I'll turn these wipers up one, I think. UAPs is the new term for UFO. Unidentified aerial phenomena. You know, rebranded from unidentified flying object. Now, what they've done there is they've rebranded it so they can restart the timeline on it, basically, and therefore control the narrative over it. You know, that's what it looks like to me. And they've kind of reclassified the nature of what it is as well. If you look at what they've said, it's unidentified flying object. So ultimately, it's a physical thing in the sky that's flying. It's present in our reality. It's a flying object, but it's unidentified. But an aerial phenomena, that could fucking mean anything. Swamp gas, you know, weather balloons, which I'm sure some of them are. Who cares? But an aerial phenomena just mean, and it kind of adds an air of like, for instance, just think about it. When you think about the word phenomena with regards to something like a happening, what do you think about? You probably think about, I don't know, Most Haunted. You remember that TV show? You know, where there was fucking mediums and stuff getting possessed by spirits, apparently. Bless him. Bless him, Mr. Okora. Oh, poor bloke. Anyway. A lorry just went past and covered the car in whatever it is off the road. Sleet and sludge. I was in an igloo for a second there. But, yeah, phenomena. It kind of makes light of it, doesn't it? It's like, oh, you know, it's just a phenomena. It didn't really happen. It's just one of those phenomena things. It takes the physical sense out of it, doesn't it? Ultimately, you look at the way it's been changed. The words have been chosen very specifically. There were probably other suggestions, and that's the one they settled on for a reason. Because again, flying object suggests something physical in our physical realm, physical, you know, that's there. And phenomena, an aerial phenomena, represents something that perhaps isn't. Or at least your perception of that will probably steer towards it not being. You know, more like an apparition type of thing. Oh, you know, it's one of those aerial phenomena. And it's one of those things that happens now and then, one of those crazy phenomena things. You don't pay attention to it, do you? Someone says there's an object flying in the sky that you can't identify. Sounds serious, doesn't it? Makes people want to take notice, which is probably why the subject gained so much traction when it did back in the day. But needless to say, it's been rebranded now because the narrative has to be controlled. Now, I've noticed over the last few years I mean, can you remember the time? Can you remember? Because I certainly do. If you mentioned UFOs, if you said you believed in UFOs, you were classed as being mad. I remember those days because I was classed as being mad for saying that I believed in UFOs. And it's as simple as that. Now you got the fucking CIA talking about it. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, nothing will. What was spoken about 30 years ago and deemed as insane is now being spoken about publicly on a serious level by official three-letter bodies, you know, these three-letter organizations. Now ultimately, you know, it's narrative control, isn't it? But it does beg the question, what will be spoken about in 30 years from now as commonplace, you know, matter of fact? What will these people come out and talk about in 30 years that people were being told that they were mad for saying they believed in today? You've got to look at it. You've got to think about that. Because what are people talking about these days? Lots of crazy stuff. Transhumanism, microchips, you know, these fucking passport things that they want you to carry around, the social bloody pass things, the you know, the one world currency that is governed, you know, again, by centralization of power. What are people talking about? And the thing is, you're mad. I'm sorry, mate, but you're mad. You're a conspiracy theorist. You were a conspiracy theorist for talking about UFOs, mate. Now what? Are you still a conspiracy theorist? Are you still mad? No. No, you're not. But you see, the masses are held, they're suspended in this air of ignorance and self-preservation. And what we do as a society is we abuse each other for our own lack of vision. You know, we pander to our own ignorance and expect others to live in the same fear and ignorance. And if they don't, well, then they're mad. I think it goes to show at this point that if you're mad or classified by the flock as mad in this world, it's probably where you want to be. Because if you're classed as being sane by these people, you know, you're probably a little bit behind. I don't get it. Because when will people twig? When will people catch on? And this is the elephant in the room. This is the smoking gun, as they like to say. This is the piece of information that cracks open the whole case, governor. You know, fair cop at this point. They should just hold their hands up and say, you know what? We've been doing it all along. Yeah, in 30 years' time, you will own nothing and be happy. Guess what? Now we've gotten you to getting rid of all the mad people. Mad. Now you can all live in servitude happily. Because that's what's happening. Did you notice throughout all the shit from 2019 to 2022 when all that crap was going on, all the herd mentality, and herd in every sense of the word, The herd mentality was, if you spoke against it, you were mad and therefore the enemy. I dare say, you don't have to go out on a very big limb here and say that I dare say that if concentration camps, for those that denied what was going on as being the truth, was suggested, there would have been an outcry for it, not against it. That's what's coming, guys. I'm telling you, man. It's so obvious. You know, all of that stuff was a test run. They know that all they had to do was just push people that little bit further and make that suggestion. Well, you know, if we separate them from society, you know, you won't be at risk anymore. With marches in the streets, they would have been publicised, wouldn't they? The millions upon millions in Hyde Park would have been publicised then because it matched the agenda. And they would have been saying, well, you see, the public want this. We're going to have to do it for our own safety. We've got to put people into servitude and camps. And it would have happened. And you know what? That terrifies me. I mean, out and out honesty, that terrifies me, to think that the society that we live in is such on the edge that they'd be willing to do that, when it's glaringly obvious that the people that were standing against it were trying to help. We're trying to shed a light on the tyranny that these people were falling for, but instead of allowing themselves to face the truth, they fed their own fears and became fascists. And that's how close we were. And if we're not careful, you know what? It doesn't matter. You know what? Who gives a fuck? It really doesn't matter, does it? Because it's going to happen. You know? It's going to happen, guys. You know, that the UAP, UFO stuff quite simply goes just to show, doesn't it, where we're at. And how narratives are controlled and then, well, shoved under the carpet, for want of a better word. And then when it gets too much and they've got to admit it, well, they spend the years waiting, don't they? And sussing out the best way that they can use it to their advantage, first and foremost. And then when it comes to it, they play out that bloody scenario. And everybody goes falling for it again because they've had 20 or 30 years to put the pre-programming in place. Because they know the subconscious of society is easily driven through, you know, these little manipulative tactics. They know that they can alter the perception of people quite clearly. You know, all of that crap not so long ago proves it. That's what I'm saying. And people were talking about that, actually, that there was going to be this thing, let's say, that happened. People were talking about that years ago, man. People like David Icke. Bless him. You know what, right? That guy's been a soldier. Say what you want. Whether he's controlled opposition or not, I don't know. But you can't deny he's brought some information to the fore. And, well, like I say, whether it's controlled opposition, whether that's part of the pre-programming, I don't know. Who knows, man? You know, I'll be willing to accept anything at this point. Who do you trust? I think that at this point you've just got to remain critical and try and embed yourself in all information so you can make your own mind up as best you can, you know, based on all of the information. That's what we should all be doing, man. But then information is controlled. Where do you turn? Let's just do the best we can. But yeah, the UFO, UAP stuff. I tell you what, who's seen a UFO? That's what I want to know. Who's seen one? Who's seen something they can't explain in the sky? Who's had experiences at night that they can't describe? They can't explain with common, rational explanation. Who's had something like that? I know I have, and I know there's been plenty of other people that I've spoken to that have too. And at this point, you know, we've kind of got to just say, well, this is something that's happening, and this is why that the narrative is being controlled and reset, because it's kind of getting out of hand. So they've got to step in and try and control it. You know, again, you've got people like Stephen Greer telling you how to contact UFOs. Well, I say UFOs. At this point, it should be glaringly obvious that you're not contacting UFOs per se. You're contacting the people that pilot these UFOs. And apparently these UFOs work off a DNA recognition kind of interface where the UFO itself is almost like hybridized technology infused with the pilot in some way. So they have like a physical and spiritual connection in order to pilot it properly, and only that person can pilot it, apparently. I mean, how fantastic is that, really? So maybe in some sense you are actually contacting the physical UFO or whatever it is itself, you know. Again, it's all hearsay. It's all hearsay, isn't it? But who's had excuse me, who's had these experiences? I know many people, and I'm sure that we all know at least one person, if not ourselves, that have had an experience that they can't explain. And that goes to show, you know, that these people have got to step in and they've got to try and control the narrative as best they can. Hence the name change. You know, if you can control language, then you control the perception. You know, look at 1984. If you haven't read that book, then you should. Their daily task is to take words out of the dictionary to narrow down people's vocabulary, which ultimately narrows down their perception. How long has that been going on? How long have words been taken out of our vocabulary that actually express things in a more eloquent manner and been replaced with idiot speak? Fucking text talk is now in the what's it called again? In the dictionary. A bad joke. But now text speak is in the dictionary. Now, what? Yes, it's a part of our society. But come on, man. We don't have to speak in 120 characters anymore. You know, this isn't SMS. You know, this isn't an old Motorola SMS. Short message service. My God. But yeah, you know, idiot speak. Everybody's got that nowadays. They're dumbing down society. Utter madness. So this is what I'm saying. If you control the words, you control the perception. And if you control the perception, well then you control the world. Because the way that you see things is how you interact with everything. Think about this. Let's just go back to the madness of 2020. People's perception, 70, 80, maybe even 90% of the population, their perception was controlled, governed by fear. Therefore, they acted a certain way and they saw the world a certain way and treated others in a certain way. Everything they did was based upon their perception that was governed by that fear. Other people that didn't bow down to that fear-based perception and they had a different one, saw the world in a completely different way, and they lived a completely different life. And they are different people because of it. And these other people that lived in fear, they're different people because of it. It was mass brainwashing on that, in that sense. Mass fear-based mind control, MK Ultra style, across the whole planet. You know? We're all Jason Bournes, brother. That's basically what we went through. Fear-based, trauma-based mind control. I was saying it back then. And it goes to show you right now that that's the case. Because people are different now. People are so different. It's almost like there's been a schism. And, you know, in society, and you've got this direct line that's been drawn in the sand in society. And the differences are so obvious now. But this is the problem. If you control perception, you control everything. So they've controlled the narrative. They're controlling the perception with UFO, UAPs. I wonder why. You know? Because I guess in 30 years we're going to find out. And on that note, this is Cragcore. I'm signing off here. Thank you for being with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Love and peace to all things everywhere. Peace.